span of control and level of management in the context of organization structure and design. Closely related to a concept of hierarchical structure are the concept of span of control and level of management. Let us understand this with the help of an example. In 1975, Mrs. Das, a housewife living in Bombay, started making garlic chili sauce at home and selling it to her close friends, relatives, and neighbors. The sauce becomes quite popular, and Mrs. Das began receiving many orders, including two from the nearby Chinese restaurant. Unable to cope with so much work, she hired Indrani as an assistant. This was the first step in delegating authority and creating another level of management. Existing customer now had to deal with Indrani as Mrs. Tas herself concentrated on preparing the sauce and tapping potential new customers. Years later, Mrs. Tas hired one girl to help in the kitchen, two girls to assist her in the making sales calls, and one office assistant for Indrani. Now authority had to be delegated in the kitchen as well as in making sales calls, and hence two levels of management were created in the kitchen and sales. The new office assistant reported only to Indrani, who in turn reported to Mrs. Das, and thus there were three levels of management in administration. Span of control refers to the number of people a manager has to control. Now, Mrs. Das' span of control expanded to four people: Indrani, one kitchen assistant, two sales assistants. And Indrani's span of control was restricted to only one. By 1980, the small sauce making enterprise had shifted to the shed in the nearby industrial estate with a full fledged production facility consisting of 10 people and a sales team of 16 girls, divided into four territorial teams supervised by a sales manager and an office administration setup of 25 people. Mrs. Das' organization as it's evolved in shown in figure 2, 3, 4, and 5, starting out with the relatively flat organization where Mrs. Das was in direct contact with all her customers and suppliers. Her organization had acquired many levels of management and a vertical structure by 1980. As the organization add on level of management, it becomes vertical and the span of control at each level becomes narrow. In a flat organization, the span of control is relatively wider and level of management are few. The flow of information in a flat organization is fast, and there is a greater individual satisfaction, and it is the ideal structure for conducting research and development and new product development groups. There is a great deal of controversy regarding the optimum number of people a manager can effective manner or the ideal span of control. The important factor is not the number of people who work for a manager has to control, but the number of people he actually has to work with. On paper, the marketing president may have 30 area sales manager under his span of control, but since he does not have to interact with them individually more than once in 6 months, and all other interactions including the regular reports are through the vice president sales, the system work well. In practice, there is no ideal span. It will vary from individual to individual and from one organization to another. Similarly, there is no hard and fast rule governing the level of management. Too many cells only add unnecessary complexity because decisions, informations, and instructions must go through too many channels. Each organization has to find its own ideal balance.